Your eyes are lying to you. Yes, I said that. Your eyes may be open, but that does not mean you are seeing clearly. Trust me, I know. You can look right at something, your calling, your future, your body, your business, your relationships, yes, even your walk with God. And you may not be seeing what is actually there because sometimes you're not seeing reality. You're seeing through fear, you're seeing through rejection, you're seeing through disappointment, you're seeing through an old wound that never got healed, but somehow it started acting like wisdom. The dangerous part is this: distorted vision doesn't feel like distortion, it feels like discernment. It feels like realism. It feels like I'm just protecting myself. It feels like I already know what's going to happen. It feels like I'm being wise. What if you're not being wise? What if you're being wounded? What if you're being untrue to yourself? What if you're not seeing what pain has taught you to expect? That's what we're going to talk about today. This episode was inspired by a conversation between Codie Sanchez and Nir Eyal. I believe I'm saying that right. I want to give them credit because their conversation around focus, distraction, and attention and building a life that you actually want stirred up something important in me. And I want to take that conversation through the salt and light lens. Because for us, this is not just about productivity. This is not just about getting more done or being great in business. It's about becoming more of who you are, becoming more focused. That matters. We're going to go deep. You can be focused, but focused on the wrong thing. You can be disciplined and still building from fear. I know. You can be productive and still avoid healing. You can be busy and still be hiding. You can look like you're moving forward, but still be carrying an old lens into a new season. And if this lens does not change, the life does not change. I know firsthand. There was a time in my life when my eyes were absolutely lying to me. I could look at my marriage and see everything negatively. And I mean everything: conversations, facial expressions, tone, silence, decisions, daily life. But it was all about me. I was filtering it. There was nothing negative in my husband. The hardest part is that I just didn't see it. I couldn't see it clearly. I wasn't able to be honest. I thought I was being realistic. I thought I was able to see what was wrong. But obviously, I didn't. And God finally revealed what was really happening. It was me. It was my own negativity, my own projections into that marriage. It's hard to say that out loud, but it's true. I wasn't observing what was happening. I was interpreting through my brokenness. I was carrying old pain, frustrations, grief, fear, old patterns into every room and calling it just who I was. It was all distortion. And our vision, when our vision's distorted, it can be looking at something really good and not seeing it. Everything feels unsafe. You could be fully supported and still feel alone. You could feel blessed, but still be disappointed all the time. I know. I lived it. I misread everything through my damage. And when I say your eyes can lie to you, not because your eyes are evil, but because your lens is wounded. And if God doesn't heal that lens, you'll keep misreading the life he's trying to restore. Codie and Nir's conversation hit me in a way beyond business acumen, right? It was about focus and distraction, but I kept thinking, this is not just about phones, notifications, social media, email, our regular business and productivity. This is about what gets our attention. And even deeper than that, it's about what has our interpretation. Because attention is not neutral. What you keep looking at shapes what you keep believing. And when we look at things, it's not what we're looking at, it's who we are, right? We don't see things how they are, we see how we are. That's hard to swallow. So consider, what are you being distracted by? What lens am I looking at this through? Because some of us are not just distracted, we're distorted. We're seeing through brokenness and calling it truth. And we're seeing through fear and calling it discernment. We're seeing through negativity and calling it being realistic. But it's not just self-protection. It's not just being practical. That video was talking about distraction starts with inner triggers. It's not just the phone. It's not just the notification. It's not just the app. It's often discomfort in us that we're trying to escape. Discomfort from anxiety, boredom, loneliness, uncertainty, self-doubt, fear, shame. It connects so deeply to our spiritual formation because many of us aren't just distracted in life because we're busy. We're distracted because we're avoiding. We reach for noise because silence could reveal too much. We reach for control instead of surrender and being vulnerable. We reach for productivity because stillness may make us face ourselves. We reach for more and more information, even when obedience is clear, but it's uncomfortable. We go for more activity because healing requires honesty, the real work, getting focused, getting honest, and allowing God to heal our distortions. Some of us are still building the wrong life, becoming more and more efficient at self-protection. We feel more productive, but we're avoiding deeper work. We can build something in business or ministry or in marriage or in our body, on our calendar, in our brand, but it's still being built out of some distortions, and peace never comes. That's why the salt and light framework matters. Reveal, reset, renew, restore. The first step is to reveal. Before you can reset the lie, before you can renew your mind, and before you can live fully restored, you have to let God reveal what's actually happening inside of you. It's scary sometimes. You can't reset a lie and refuse to recognize it. You cannot renew your mind and keep letting it run wild. You can't restore your life built on a distorted and broken interpretation. So the prayer is not just to change everybody else or change the situation. It's, God, show me what's true. Am I seeing this clearly? Am I responding from truth? Or am I reacting from pain? Am I calling this wisdom and it's really fear? Am I calling this discernment? It's really self-protection. Am I protecting an old pain in my present person? Am I interpreting the future through my past? That's where freedom starts. Not with blame, not with denial, not with pretending everything is fine. Freedom starts when truth enters the room. And when sometimes truth is uncomfortable, truth confronts our lens. That was true for me. And I wanted everything else to change around me, and then I would finally be happy. I had everything, and I still couldn't be happy. I wanted to feel different. But God was wanting me to deal with what was really happening, not around me, but what was in me from old wounds. He was trying to show me that I had always learned to scan for what I could predict, meaning I would walk into a room and try to anticipate everything that could go wrong. I was trying to keep myself safe at all times, always living in fight or flight, always rehearsing what scenarios could happen, what could go wrong, what's missing, where am I not safe in the situations. And that comes from years of living that way. But the mind gathers evidence for that story. It'll find proof everywhere to confirm that, this is probably not safe, or that person doesn't have your best intention. Your mind is trained to search for that. And that's why Romans 12:2 is not just a nice Bible verse. It is a battle strategy. Do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Transformation is not just behavior modification. It is mind renewal. It is learning to see you differently. It's allowing God to interrupt the old mental loops that have been running your life. So first, God reveals the lens, then comes to reset. God reveals what's distorted, and then wants to reset the old interpretation. You have to start agreeing with every thought that you have just because it feels familiar. Some thoughts feel true because they've been rehearsed for so long. That doesn't make them true. It just makes them practiced. I'm always overlooked might be your story, or I just can't trust anyone, or nothing ever works out for me. And if I don't control everything, everything will fall apart. If I'm too late, I'm going to never be enough. God always blesses everybody else, but not me. Those are not just thoughts. Those are agreements. And agreements become the architecture you start building your entire life around, what you believe to be true. So reset means to pause and ask, what is actually true? Is this God? Or is this wisdom? Or is this fear? Or is this my healed self speaking or my broken self speaking, just trying to survive? 2 Corinthians 10:5 tells us to take every thought captive, not entertain every thought, not obey every thought, but to build a life around every thought that is true. Take captive means thoughts that you don't want to get to run your life anymore. You can capture. Some thoughts don't get to make decisions about your marriage anymore, your ministry, your business, your body, your calling, your future. You have to reset the lie. And then comes renewal. Renewal is where you get to replace the lie with truth. This is where a lot of people stop too. They recognize the distortion, but they don't go deep enough into renewal. Renewal requires repetition. Your mind shaped you by rehearsing in the past. Your attention shaped it, and you'll just keep returning to it. Your spiritual formation was shaped by what you focused on. It could have been fear. Fear gets stronger when you rehearse it, or an offense. Offense gets stronger. You rehearse lack. Lack gets stronger. You rehearse rejection. Rejection gets stronger. But if you rehearse truth, truth gets stronger. If you rehearse gratitude, gratitude gets stronger. If you rehearse being courageous, that gets stronger too. Rehearse God's faithfulness and trust gets stronger. Philippians 4 tells us to think on what is true, honorable, just, pure, lovely, commendable, excellent, and praiseworthy. That's not just fluffy Christianese. It's attention training. It's mental renewal. It's how you stop letting every old thought have full access to your future. This is where you start telling yourself truth, not fake truth, not forced positivity, like everything's rainbows and butterflies, but truth. I have been hurt, but I don't have to protect that hurt. And I don't need to project it around to everybody else. I may have made mistakes, but I can be restored. My past has shaped me, but it doesn't get to define me. My lens has been distorted in the past, but God can teach me to see clearly. That's renewal. Then we get into restore. Restore is when the new lens starts producing a new life. Not perfect, not overnight, not fake, but different. You begin responding differently. You stop assuming the worst case scenarios. You stop letting fear narrate your situation. You stop projecting your past into your current situation. You stop confusing control with wisdom. Stop calling anxiety preparation. Stop calling bitterness discernment. Stop calling negativity realism. You walk in truth. Let me really, really, really clear. Healing doesn't mean ignoring reality. It doesn't mean denying problems. It doesn't mean staying silent when something is wrong. It does not mean pretending hard things aren't hard. But it does mean calling dysfunction into the light. Stop projecting your brokenness onto every situation. That's the distinction. You deal with facts. You address hard things. You set boundaries. You still use wisdom. You still discern. But you just stop letting fear write the interpretation and stop letting pain be the narrator. You stop letting old wounds act like they're driving you. Discernment and distortion are not the same thing. Distortion is led by wounds. Discernment can convict us, but it doesn't torment us. Discernment brings clarity. Distortion brings confusion. Discernment is wisdom. Distortion is fear-based reactions, not responses. So here's the question for you. Where are your eyes lying to you? Where have you been convinced that you're seeing clearly, but you may not be actually seeing through clear lens? Is that your marriage, friendships, calling, maybe your body, maybe your finances, your leadership? your relationship with God, your future. Where are we calling fear our future? Where are we protecting ourselves and saying, I'm just discerning? Where are you projecting old pain into something that God is actually trying to restore in you? Do not rush past that. This is like holy work because the enemy doesn't want us to just openly destroy our lives. He just wants to distort our vision. So we misread God, we misread people, we misread ourselves, we misread our future, and we're just stuck. Sometimes we get just sabotaged. I sabotaged my life through mistrust. I couldn't see love when it was there. I rejected love. I was so unable to have humility and patience. I carried bitterness and brokenness. We need God to heal that lens. So maybe this week, when you're spiraling or reacting or assuming or projecting or rehearsing a negative story, pause and ask 4 questions. What is being revealed right now? What lie or distortion needs to be reset? What truth in my mind do I need to renew? And how should I respond so I can restore my life in the way that God wants to work? Reveal, reset, renew, restore. Not a cute framework, not just alliteration. It's a framework for life. You can walk into a restored life, but you've got to look at that distorted lens. You've got to stop rehearsing old stories. You can't keep asking God to change everything around you while you're refusing to let Him change the way you see. So maybe a prayer today could be something simple like, Lord, heal my lens. Let me reveal what I'm seeing through pain, reset what I'm agreeing with, renew my mind with your truth, and restore the way that I'm walking into my future. Don't allow me to project my brokenness onto other people. Do not allow me to bring in my fear into my future. I want to see clearly. Give me the clarity. Let me live restored. Give me your vision. Give me the breakthrough to see everything clearly around me. This new sight, it's salt and light. It's a rewired mind. It's a restored life. I look forward to seeing you in the next episode. Take care.